Hello.
Hello.
Welcome to technology. Oh, if only there was a button that I could do that in my life. Oh, okay. So I'm Robyn
And I'm Gil. And
and
we are here too.
Rock the Love.
Absolutely.
All right. So much happening today. Gil, you
Well,
begin.
all right. So, first of all, welcome. This is our show for the 16th of March, the day after my birthday. And
Oh,
our theme for the month has been boundaries, borders, and BS. We've done boundaries,
yes.
we've done borders.
Yes.
And so today we're doing,
BS,
yay, fun. Okay.
which you're full of.
I am today. I'm feeling it very much so.
All right. So we're going to talk about that in a little bit. But first, you know what to do, right? Like us, love us.
Subscribe to our YouTube channel. Write your comments in. Tell us you're on with us, where you are. Please ask questions. Tell us we're full of it. Oh, BS and whatever else you want to do. It works fine. We just want this time to be a time we get to share with each other and with you. So
Most important, let us know who you are and that you're out there so we can chat with you. So, yes, as Gil said, it was his birthday celebration yesterday. You want to say any more about that?
Bachelor's an idiot? No. We went with friends and watched the last episode of The Bachelor last night. Very, very good, bad TV. So there you go.
Very much opportunity for spirituality.
Yes.
Absolutely. And BS.
Yep, absolutely.
Yeah. So that was fun. And so we decided we were having so much fun giving things away to y'all that we would continue instead of ending it like we were going to do today to the end of the month. So I want to congratulate our winners last week, TC and Linda. I'm guessing Linda is Linda that won our book, but she didn't feel the need to email and tell us that she was the winner. So, Linda, if you're out there, please let us know that it was you. And yeah, stay tuned.
Stay tuned. So later on, we'll be giving you more of that. And so that's rather exciting. And then we have been, let me see. So today's the 16th, which means we have two more shows. And by the end of this month, we will be at show 13.
Oh, yeah, my lucky gosh. 13.
Yes. Gosh, it almost sounds like we should start a new season then, right? We could be with those people that have multiple seasons all the time. All right.
Right.
So then the following week, which will be the first week in April, we will start our new theme, and we're just going to tease that a little bit now. What is it?
Awakening the Garden.
Awakening the Garden.
Yeah.
Be with that for a minute and see what you think.
Well, I think you'll know a little bit more after we talk about BS.
Okay.
So let's just talk about BS. What do you know BS to be?
Me personally?
Yeah.
It's not sayable. Oh, you mean the other BS? All right. So what we're talking about with BS is our belief systems, right? Yep.
Which usually can contain the other
BS.
Yeah.
Because so often we have beliefs that are hung up somewhere else. And so part of the whole reason for talking about this is how do those beliefs affect our relationships?
Yes. But I just want to tell you that there are many BSs.
Okay.
Oh, that
Say
was
some more.
Sigh. I'm going to, if you read my notes, I'm going to chop your head off.
Why? I can see them. I'm still proud of myself with my glasses on. Here, let me adjust those a little. I couldn't even see my notes without my glasses on.
All right. So I went to look up BS and belief system, and this is what I found. There was a list of BSs, and I'm not going to read you all of them, but I'm going to read you a few of them. And you can make up your own. I did make up my own that wasn't on this list. Bachelor of Science, bull stuff. Then it says the polite form. British standards, baby shower, Britney Spears, box scores, bookstores, back to school, balance sheet, blood sugar, blue sky, business system, baking soda, studies, bisexual, big screen, Boy Scouts, Bible study, Be Smart, Bruce Springsteen, Big Sister, broadcasting system, Barbara Streisand, Be Sweet, Be Specific, Blacksmith, Big Show, Big Shot, Big Stage, Big Smile, Backside, Brown Sugar, Bath Salt, Bering Sea, Blind Spot, Beauty Shop, Bright Brain Stem, Boob Squish. That's
What?
For the mammogram.
Oh, I thought that's what that must be.
All right. Women out there, I know you know what I'm talking about. Balance scorecard, business segment, Bart Simpson, backstab, brothers and sisters, bomb squad bus schedule, bill of sale, basic strategy,
Wow.
backstroke, broadcast satellite, right? Basic software, bright and shiny, bass saxophone, and it goes on and on. Bank of Slovenia.
Oh, well, there you go. That one I wouldn't have thought of.
Betrayed spouse. Yeah, it goes on and on and on and on and on. So who knew, right? But the BS we're talking about today is the one you thought of and your belief system. So, what is a belief system?
What is a belief system? Well, let's talk about that. What is okay? So, belief system is what? A group of beliefs that we subscribe to. Is that what it is? Yeah, it's a group of beliefs we subscribe to. Some grouping of ideas and thoughts that we allow or want to guide our way, if you will. Yeah, I mean, want.
It's an interesting word to put in there. I mean, I think that's true sometimes. So the definition from the dictionary is a set of principles or tenets which together form the basis of a religion, philosophy, or moral code.
Oh, that's the
so ancient Greek belief system.
Okay, so it's a system of principles and understandings that, right. So where do those come from and why do they exist? Now that mentions some particular areas where they come from or are set up like religion. People have a set of belief systems in religion and most of those come from where?
Their parents?
Well, their parents or from the religion itself, from someone giving it to somebody, this is what you are to believe, if you will.
Right.
And then belief systems in a society is somewhat similar. The society sort of determines the range and the breadth of beliefs and says this is what you can believe, and so then we begin to take those on, and that becomes a belief system that we subscribe to. What else?
Well, I think if anybody watches TV or advertising, we believe the ad. If somebody's drinking a Coca-Cola and then their life is wonderful and beautiful and they want to teach the world to sing and there's world peace, then we believe that could be.
Well, I think even more than that, if Jennifer Aniston's doing it, then I really want to do it because she must know better because she's famous.
How contemporary of you.
Yes, I know. Well, I know a couple names.
Yeah, no, but I mean, there's advertising and there's, all the propaganda and things that are put out into the world. Well, right? Isn't it that? Isn't it? Am I wrong?
Well, is it? If somebody tries to convince you to believe something, is that propaganda?
Sometimes.
It's an interesting question, though. It really is. So belief systems come from all kinds of places, but where do we start? How do we get our own personal belief systems? And I think that's kind of the crux of how those beliefs affect our relationships, because it's about which ones have I decided or have I allowed to become true for me.
Right. Right. So, do we come into the world with belief systems?
That's an interesting question. I mean, to me, I mean, there's a theory that we show up as a blank slate, if you will. Children just show up, and at the same time, the other side of that kind of theory is that we show up with all of it, and none of it gets erased until we start growing up, and then we start losing it.
Well, we show up with all of it because we show up with the imprint of our ancestors,
right,
and everything, right? So it's like it's true. Are we a blank slate or are we not?
Well, clearly I'm not, because I have crud that's inside of me that I can't get out. I mean, it's not neutral, right?
Say more about that.
I mean, there are things where I get stuck, and it's not neutral. It literally stops me from either doing something I want to do, or showing up in a certain way, or being able to love in a certain way. I can't. I sometimes feel like I can't push through it, because it's like, no, you can't do that. And it doesn't matter how rational or irrational that idea is, or that belief is, or that thought is. It just stops.
Is that true for me too?
Oh, it's definitely true for you. No, I don't know. Is it true for you?
No, I'm asking you, is that your experience?
I think at some level it's true for all of us. We all have some people, I think, get through more than others. Some of us learn faster, some of us figure it out. But I think it's true for all of us. We all have those things. So, if we go back and we go, okay, what did we learn from, our parents and our teachers when we were kids? Like, what are the things that we adopted, and then in particular, what are the things we adopted that really work and we believe and we hold true to this day? And what are some of the things we identify as, no, not so much? Go.
So you're talking about old stories.
Yeah, the story. Whatever the story is we've learned.
Or old beliefs. I mean, so you're talking about, like, in my house there always was needed to be like a green vegetable for dinner.
Right.
There needed to be, a vegetable, usually a vegetable starch and a meat or whatever it was, but there was all, it needed to be there needed to be green. Well, that was the most important thing. I don't really remember anybody pushing anything else.
It's funny. In my house, we thought that a little leaf of lettuce with a banana cut in half, some Miracle Whip, and a few walnuts was a salad. And at the time, it seemed perfectly reasonable. Not so much to me now, but it did then. Well, I mean, we grew up with very specific things in my house, that were true, and some of them were really, really good. We were talking last night about the framework of my family being really clear that we're not, we don't judge different people based on their race, color, or creed. That's not what we do. That's not how we operate. We accept people for who they are, where they are. And that was in many different ways. That showed up in my household very clearly. At the same time, other things showed up in my household that weren't as great, right?
Right. So, yeah. So what we were talking about last night was just the difference in people's upbringing and how some people were raised to believe differently.
Right.
Yeah. So your core beliefs as a child, do you remember anything that like really shaped who you are now? I do.
Okay, you do. Go, start.
I remember like when I was probably 6, 7, I was very fond of doing whole theater shows for my family. And I would didn't need to have seen the show. I would just make it up based on the soundtrack or whatever. So I would do Funny Girl, and I would do like all these musicals and all these things. And I remember telling one of my god uncles that I was like, um, oh, when I'm famous and blah blah blah, I'm gonna give you backstage passes to all of my shows and da 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 da. Da. And he laughed.
Ooh.
And I was like, I remember thinking, what are you laughing at? And I don't remember exactly what he said to me, but it wasn't supportive. And I'm sure in his head it wasn't bad either.
Right.
You know what I mean? But it was probably real for him, you know. And looking at the situation now, I could go, yeah, he was very enamored with glamour and Hollywood and all those things, and his life probably didn't pan out the way he thought it would. And I could totally psychoanalyze it, and but I do. I obviously I remember that. I remember same with an art teacher who I showed her this project I was working on. It was a paper mache hippo. And I took it up to her to show her, and I was all excited, and I said, here, what do you think or something? And she said, it's not as good as Coco or Ronnie's. And I was like, and that's when I decided I wouldn't do art. I would, and my whole family was like, no, you've got to. Da, da. They tried to get me to take art classes during high school. I wouldn't do it. And when I did finally do it, I turned the art class into a play. So we all ended up making big paper mache animals to put over us for the play. But I mean, because I was crushed.
So those experiences led to a belief that you then held on to.
Yeah, it made me believe I wasn't an artist, or I wasn't I wouldn't be successful at being creative.
Right. Yeah, those experiences, I think we've all had them. I'm trying to think. I know there were a few times I was somewhat crushed, but one of the other side of that I was thinking about was how, for whatever reason in my house, and it wasn't really necessarily true of my brother and sister, but of me, there was really never a question about whether or not I was going to continue school and go to college. That was just it. And I believe that. And because I believe that, it wasn't a big deal to make it happen, because it's just what was going to happen, and I just believed that's where I was going. And I think the same thing happens when you believe that's not where you're going, if you will.
Right.
I mean, it's the same thing. It's just a different result. It's just based on what way we're believing.
Right. Clearly your belief system can be positive or negative.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, we my parents were very clear that you needed to be careful with your money, very careful. And that is stuck. As a matter of fact, Robyn thinks I'm a little bit too much on that sometimes, which I am. Much better than I used to be.
But what go ahead.
Sorry. But it's not again, it's not all bad. So what did I get from that? I got a belief system that I should be responsible with money, and I should do these things. And that has supported me throughout my life. There have been other times when I have I've not done things I really wanted to do because of money. I refused to do them,
right,
or get them for myself, particularly for myself, or even for others sometimes. Yeah.
And what's interesting about that particular one is, so what translated to you is not to spend frivolously.
Right.
And I'm no judgment on this, but it didn't really translate to you to invest and to make sure your money was going in certain places, like your dad did, or like somebody,
Yeah.
So it's interesting, the pieces that we
Right.
take away from it and how they translate in our minds.
And then that affects, like, for instance, if we talk about relationships, certainly that's a whole piece. Without being in relationship to people, that's a whole piece about my relationship to money and savings and my life, whatever down the road, is that, yeah, I've never done well with creating the looking forward part of money, if you will. I'm good with the moment, and I've learned to be very whatever trusting and all that good stuff. But yeah, we get statements from various times in my life when I've had jobs and things and their investments, and we go, whoa, oh, we got some money over there. It's like a big surprise because it's not, it's just not there. And you're right.
It's interesting. I want to hold on to that thought that you just said, that you've never been good at looking forward. And I want to take that into the next piece when we talk a little bit more about belief systems and how they are affecting us and how they affect us into, teens and adults and relationships and marriage and all that. So I want to do all that after we come back from the break right here on New Thought Media Network.
Thank you, Center for Spiritual Living Denver, for your continued support. Thank you, Center for Spiritual Living Midtown Atlanta, for your monthly contribution. Thank you, Center for Spiritual Living North Jersey, for your monthly contribution. And please help us welcome Center for Spiritual Living in La Mesa, California. Thank you for your monthly donation. Thank you, Center for Spiritual Living Seattle, for your most generous donation. And a special thanks to Hefferlin Foundation for your generous technology grant. And Suze Ajit, thank you for your very generous donation. And a super special thank you to Dr. Tracy Brown, RScP. Thanks for being a super donor. And a big shout out to all our committed donors.
And we're back. I'm Robyn.
And I'm Gil, and welcome back to Rockin the Love.
We're so glad you're here today. And we are talking about belief systems, or BS, as it is fondly known in the community. So we were just discussing just the beliefs we had as a child and all of that. And I was thinking in the break that those are just the ones we can identify. When I think about, like, with our kids, how much time we spend going, No, don't do that. No, you can't do that. You keep, I mean, even though we're new age, whatever, and we
highly
highly
developed
evolved.
consciously. Yes.
Yeah.
Woo!
I mean, I hear it come out of my mouth sometimes, and then of course I go into some ridiculous explanation that they're hearing, wah, 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 but it's making me feel justified. Anyway, but enough about me. So I, just all the no's and all the falling down in the trial and error as a kid, and what we make up that we can't do. Oh, I ran a race with so and so, but I didn't win, so I'm a loser. Or
just, even though that person is now running for the Olympics.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, what struck me when you said that was the other piece that comes up with, when you have had or have kids or grandkids who are, growing up, is the discussion comes up around, well, where are they developmentally? And so sometimes we adopt these beliefs based on a very restricted ability to understand what was being communicated. And then that belief becomes stuck in us as an adult based on this completely false, if you will, premise. Right. So not only do we collect these things when we're younger, but I think a lot of times we collect beliefs that no one in the world thought that they were even remotely hinting at for us, but that's how we interpreted it through our understanding of the world at the time.
Right.
So we have to grow up out of that, right? And we have to then look at how it affects us.
Well, yeah, and as we take that into being teenagers, everything affects us.
Right.
Everything affects us, and and again, that's where media really begins to play an issue. And then all I could think of when I said that was being a teenager, and how we hear now, and how I remember saying, oh, everybody is doing that, Mom, or why can't I do that? Everyone does that. So of course then probably I feel like other because I can't do it. My mom won't let me.
Right.
I mean, so there's just so many.
And where does that belief exist now?
Well,
that
that's
everyone does it.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what I hear when people drive 80 miles on the freeway, 80 miles an hour on the freeway. They go, well, everyone does it.
Right.
It's the same belief. It's the same thing, but we've carried it into our life. And now it, and I think in subtle ways that shows up in different places, and it certainly shows up in our relationships.
But that's what I was going to say to you about what you said in the last segment, when you said, I didn't write it down. When you said,
I'm sure it was smart.
It keeps me from going forward. What were you talking about? It was something as a kid. It keeps.
I don't plan forward necessarily.
Yeah, I don't plan forward. And just that phrase, I thought, well, how do you take that phrase alone out into your life? I mean, not to call you out on anything.
Oh, okay.
No, seriously, but I mean, you've been married more than once.
Yes, I have.
How many times would that be?
That would be 3.
Right.
And contrary to my godson, I do remember their names. So just so you know.
So when you say things like that, I feel like I have to explain them because they don't know what you're talking about.
That's okay. I barely know what I'm talking about. All right. So my godson the other day was asking me about, now you've been married for, right? Blah, blah, blah. And then after he said that, he goes, do you remember their names? I was like, I was married to them. I think I remember their names. Anyway.
No matter how hard he's trying to forget. Anyway, but so I think about what you said. So how, you can't plan forward. So, I mean, like, and how does that happen in like every area? Like just that statement, like you can't plan forward. Even when I ask a question,
it's hard to plan forward.
It's hard to plan forward.
You're right.
So I think that's an astounding revelation that I've had for you.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
But anyway, I mean, so really, but and how does that play out in our life? So we go into teen years, and God knows everything is the most important thing that's ever happened in our life. And there is that um race consciousness thought among teens that if they don't get to do something, they'll just die.
Yeah.
And nobody understands them.
It's the only chance. It's all these kinds of things. Everything is immediate and dire.
Right?
Yeah.
So how do we take that forward, and how do we let go of that? Like, because a lot of times we say, or we think, oh, they'll get it at some point. These kids will understand, but like, how do we really get that? Or do we?
Well, I was going to say, I mentioned I had a birthday, and I'm entering my 7th decade. I've never thought I would be 60 years old. And I don't get it. Right? I mean, we're still learning it. We're still dealing with it all the time. We're always dealing with things that we go, oh, that why do I think that? What is that about? Right? Or how, like, even like what you just pointed out about planning forward and stuff.
Right.
And these beliefs, make well, anyway, I'm gonna share something interesting that I found. And we talk about, our belief system. And the question is, how do these beliefs shape relationships? So here's an interesting piece, and I will share it. You attract people with similar or complementary core beliefs. Core beliefs often form the way you present yourself. That is your relational business card. And that business card can attract people with matching or complementary relational cards. So if we have a belief system that is, for instance, for lack of a better way of describing it, primarily positive or primarily negative, we are likely to attract someone into our life that's very similar. Would you say? Isn't that true?
It is.
Isn't that depressing for you?
No, because I was actually thinking about it in that way when you said it. I was like, so on some levels, I mean, we've always said this, like, how did we attract each other? Like, I mean, how did we say, if we had met, 10 years earlier, 20 years earlier, that it wouldn't have been the right time, we would have never, it would have never happened.
Well, we wouldn't have been the same people to meet.
Right. We wouldn't have been the same people. So I think that brings up, a really good subject, which is there. So you have your belief system, and then you have the other side of you that is not bought into the race conscious thought and the negative, and there's still that core of what you believe and who you think you are and what you think is possible, right?
Mm-hmm.
And we can call it our higher self. We can call it our inner child. You can call it whatever you want. You want to call it anything?
No.
But I mean, so I think that there was a part of you meeting me that reconnected you to your higher self and what you knew to be true.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And I was ready for someone who would accent, who would highlight those parts of me, those parts of my beliefs, and challenge me to continue to grow in those parts of my beliefs. I think the statement, sort of assumes that it almost sounds like it's static, but I think it's also it depends on which part of yourself you're realizing you want to put forward and you want to grow into. And if we're not clear, or if we're very clear, in any direction, we're likely to do that and have that happen.
Uh-huh. And I just want to say hi to Wayne out there from Calgary. Good to see you, Wayne. And yes, all children are children of the Son, of God, of Spirit, stars, and beautiful. And we're so glad that you and your beautiful self is here. And then we have Linda, who says,
she's very interesting today. Hi, Linda.
So she says, I'm sitting here with what belief do I have that stopped me from claiming my prize last week?
Aha. It was you. We thought so.
Perhaps I was a little bit embarrassed winning twice in a row and going deeper. It was something about not deserving. Not deserving? Question mark. I really need to change that belief. Change your belief, change your life. So bring on the abundance, baby. Yeah, baby. And you're taking us with you. Thank you, Linda. Thank you for showing up. And I assume that's your official claim. So
I just want to I want to say that is such a great demonstration of when we can look at what the belief, we can look at a situation in our life and go, okay, well, what was the motivation there? And then we can look at a belief and go, does that still serve me to hold that belief? Is it still something that helps me? Because I think most every belief we put together somehow serves us, right? Even yours with the art. You didn't have to go up to the teacher anymore and have them say something that felt demeaning and embarrassing, because you just didn't do it anymore, right? And that took care of it. It didn't help you with art, but it took care of that feeling in a way, at least in terms of experiencing it again in another situation. You still had the first feeling, but you didn't experience again and again.
Maybe.
But I mean,
I hear you.
At least I think that's kind of how our minds work and how we go forward. But at some point we realize, but that holds us back from getting to what we really do want, or what we really can be.
Well, yeah. I mean, and we all have shadow beliefs. Right. We all have, I'm not enough. I'm not smart enough. I'm not tall enough. I'm not skinny enough. I'm not pretty enough, whatever, Are those all women beliefs? No, not all of them.
No.
I mean, it goes across the board. So we definitely have shadow beliefs, and then it becomes, at this stage of the game, where do we put our attention, right? What do we look at? Like Michael Beckwith talks a lot about intentionality, and so where do we put our thoughts and our process? Do we linger in the garbage thoughts, or do we,
do we set our attention on something? Yeah. Well, that's interesting. I was also reading about some brain studies that they've done that show, how what your chemical things happen in your brain. And what they found with people that have a high satisfaction rating in their relationship are three things: that they practice empathy, that they control their feelings and stress, and that they maintain positive views about their partner. So again, what's my intention? If I'm holding that positive view, that's going to shift my whole experience of my relationship, versus holding a view that would be different, holding an expectation of something different in my relationship. And it's about my belief. Am I believing that this is a good thing, or am I believing it's not, and therefore we're going to make it not a good thing? Does that make sense?
It does make sense. I mean, if you think about the whole, we are who we are based on our belief.
Mm-hmm. That's true.
That's who we are. It's like, if you want an apple tree, you plant apple seeds. Whatever we've planted, that's who we are. Or society or the world, or however you want to look at it, but whatever we've taken on, that's who we are. And yeah.
And unless we shift it, unless we graft in another belief, unless we change something, we're always going to get whatever apple tree we've planted. You know, we're not going to get anything else unless we somehow change something about it.
I read a quote, that said, your subconscious mind rules your life.
Ooh.
96 to 97% of everything we do is done as a result of our subconscious mind.
Oh man.
Good night, everybody, and thank you. that makes me tired.
Yeah.
96 to 97%.
So basically, our whole discussion here only is going to help people 3%, because the rest of it's all subconscious.
If they were listening that much. Yeah, but I mean, that's a lot, when you think about all the other things that stop us that we don't even know about. I mean, think about how much we're just even on autopilot, like if you drive a car and you've driven for any length of time, you're kind of on autopilot. You're not always paying full attention, when the light changes, but you see the light, you knew there was the possibility of it changing, and you do things automatically. I mean, that's a lot of percent.
Well, and I think that points out the importance of being conscious as possible and aware. And when you notice something, take note of it. Because if you notice it, it gives you the opportunity to probably address, 1,000 other times that somehow that belief has been a part of your process when it was just there. It was underneath everything, and you were not aware of it at all consciously. So each time something pops up, we get a chance to look at it. That's the beauty. That's the sweet spot, is when we get to look at it and go, oh, that's what that's about. Because even the belief itself isn't always that big of a deal. It isn't the major problem. The problem is, what is it that we have, what was under that we can shift so that we no longer have to hold on to that belief.
Right.
Yeah.
So awareness is key, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, and Wayne says oneness faith activated. And that actually, that speaks to me in terms of, if you've done spiritual studies, and you are, believing in the oneness, the allness, the beauty, the grace, the amazingness of spirit, or the universe, or whatever you choose to call it, Buddha, Allah, whatever, then it's really staying in that place of activating that all the time, and knowing that you can't have that thought, Linda, that you're not worthy, because spirit, the universe, all of that is abundant and willing and deserving, and all of those things, right? So we can't sink into those places as easily if we can activate that place of knowingness.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And so it brings us around to, how does that all affect, you and me, and you and whoever else in your life?
Right. I have a quote. Did you have something to say?
Nope, go.
This is an Albert Einstein quote, and I love Albert Einstein. So he says, imagination is more important than knowledge, for knowledge is limited to all we know now and understand, while imagination embraces the entire world and all there ever will be to know and understand.
Wow. I had a flash while you were saying that, about science fiction, and how we have had these people who have always told these stories about about the future and about how things would be. And, within our lifetime, we can look back and we can see some of those older stories, and we can look at our lives today and see exactly what they were talking about, or some version of it, or the beginning of it. And that's the fascinating piece, because if we've stuck to what we know, those stories wouldn't have contained any of that. It had to be opened up to what, because otherwise we're limited. This is what it is. So if we always look at what we've known and what's been there, how are we going to go anywhere?
Where are we going? Yeah. And I would venture to say that, his use of the word imagination could be substituted with, other words like higher self, or I had another word, but you know what I mean? It's our,
it's opening up
it's opening up to the true, the access that we have to the universe in some ways.
The one mind. Even.
The one mind. And we're back with Wayne at the one mind.
At the activated. One mind. All right. So everybody, this is Rockin the Love. We are so happy you've been with us so far today. We are going to come back and have a couple of things for you. So don't forget, we're still celebrating birthdays. And stay tuned for the last part of our show here, Rockin the Love on New Thought Media Network. Hi, everybody. Welcome back. This is Rockin the Love, and we are excited. We're getting to the end of our show today, and we've been talking about what?
BS. Sorry, I was reading the thing thinking about our ages together.
So, Laura, thanks so much for joining us all the way across the pond, as they say. And thank you for the birthday wishes.
And together, we're ageless.
Together, exactly. Or if you mean how old are we in terms of being together, we're over 20 years old there.
I'm sure she didn't mean that.
And what's it like to be in relationship with someone with the same star sign?
Well,
oh my God, I just flashed on something.
You're doing a lot of flashing this show.
I know.
What's happening?
That's not the first time I've been married to someone with the same star sign. Oh my gosh.
Look, Linda, that's you're creating bizarre. A chain reaction of revelations here. What's it like to be married to someone well, our particular sign, zodiac sign, is the fish. And so there's a lot of swimming and flip-flopping, and And so sometimes
getting hooked in one direction and then getting hooked in another.
so sometimes it's not, it's challenging. Like to make decisions is a challenging thing for us. To be creative is a good thing for us. Like you give us anything and we'll go, okay, I know how we can do that or fix that or build that or
Have you
share
tried
that.
this?
Yeah.
Try that.
Yeah. But the decision part is challenging, which
Well, I think the way to highlight that is we have helped many people do things that we would have liked to have done.
it's true. we spend a lot of time supporting other people with things that were like, oh my God, if we put this much time into our own stuff, we'd be rich by now. We'd be this, we'd be that. But all in all, it's fabulous.
It's all good.
It worked. This
all
one
good.
worked. So, all right. So we've been talking about BS, and we don't have a lot more time left to talk about it. So we will continue talking about it next week. We will talk about relationships and just continue the conversation about our belief systems, what we're holding on to, what we're ready to let go of, and what we're going to do is we're going to give away to everybody who, what did they have to do?
They need to go to our website, which I believe our notorious producer is going to put up on screen. There it is. No, that's our email address. Our website, www.rockinthelove.com. We may not even have it in the list of things to put. There it is. Okay. And if you go there and you opt to sign up for our email list, then we will send you out a couple of sheets that will just give you a chance to look at some of your beliefs and to note what they are and start that process of kind of evaluating what's going on in yourself. And maybe we can talk about that next time some more.
Right. So it's a little bit of growth work, love work, spiritual work you can do during the week, and just look it over and think about it, because even like Linda having that realization today, even those small things where you go, oh, it's not a big deal. I don't want to, I feel a little embarrassed. I feel this, I feel that, what is that really? So it's just an opportunity, because honestly, the world needs us to get over our belief system, because we came to do big things, great things. And those are the things we're planning to talk about a little bit in April when we talk about awakening the garden. And so what's, buried, that it's time to wake it up. It's time to go back to that place of inspiration, that dream, that love that you've let go. But that's April. So you have to come back.
Next week. We will explore this a little more in terms of relationship, direct impact on relationship. But I think it's been a really interesting kind of dive into where these beliefs even come from in our lives. Why do we even have them?
Yeah.
And I think the realization of how much they can affect us is powerful.
It is powerful. And so Wayne actually just sparked a thought in me when he said monkey mind. Whee! Yeah, we can't let the monkey mind get us, right? So I'm going to say, if you've had a thought today, if you've had a realization, if you've had something that connected with you and made you think about something in a new way, I'm going to say, for every time that happens, you do what's comfortable for you. Make it $1, make it $0.25, make it $5. For every one of those, just send that to the network. Isn't that easy? You can keep a little tally. And so if something moved you, donate to New Thought Media Network. And you can do that by going to newthoughtmedianetwork.org and hitting the donate button. There it is on our screen, NTM
And the reason we say that is because New Thought Media Network has allowed us to even do this show, and has given us not only the support to do the show, but I think the encouragement and the confidence to jump in and do it. And that's true of us. That's true of some of the other presenters on New Thought Media. And I think it's given everybody a platform and a way to work together. And so we invite you to be a part of that working together, and appreciate all that you do in that regard.
Yeah. And I'm just going to say to my Uncle Jimmy and to my art teacher, whose name was Sarge, take that wherever you will. Take that. Look at me here now on New Thought Media Network. All right. So we're letting go of those old beliefs. Let them go. Let them go. And we'll see you next week here on New Thought Media Network.